Didn't I tell y'all it was going to explode? Well, it exploded. Let's see what happens. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Christina with Read.Pray.Disney. Here on this channel, we like to talk all things Disney, from planning to packing to pins to books. So for today's video, we're hitting up chapters 21 through 25. I know it's like 4 chapters, but y'all, so much has happened. So much, okay? So we left off at 20 where Everly is deciding that she needs to siphon from somebody, right? And I asked y'all, who did y'all think she was gonna siphon from? So this is where we pick up with her discussion, okay? And it's all a mental dialogue of what's going on and who she wants to siphon from and who she doesn't. So the thing about it is, when siphoning, you have to siphon it. They siphon from someone who has a link, that she has a link to, and it's almost like it can be emotional, but somebody that she is mentally connected, almost emotionally connected to. So when she siphons from someone, there is a connection that she links to them. So in her mind, she doesn't want to siphon from Vikander. She doesn't want to siphon from Saxon. She chooses to siphon from Roth. Thought she was trying to love this guy, right? Y'all, we have to remember. So it's funny because I was talking to my mom about the story, and she's like, aren't they teenagers? And I'm like, yes, I have to remember that this is still a young adult book, right? And Everly is like 17, and I believe Roth is a few years older than that. Like he's 19, maybe 20, but Everly's 17, and she didn't even finish high school yet. So keeping that in mind, I'm like, she is making some seriously stupid choices. Like, if you're gonna like this dude, go ahead and like him. But if you're not gonna like him, then... But it's part of her duality, right? It's part of that whole thing of whether she's evil or not evil. I'm telling you, Gena Showalter, she knows how to write a character. And she also knows how to take you so far that you just want to strangle this character too. You know, it's crazy. So anyway, so she decides to siphon from Roth. And here's her premise about that. She decides this because she believes that Roth is going to owe her in the future for breaking her heart in the future because of the prophecy. That's her reasoning. Boo. Let me tell you, that doesn't ever really work out, but okay. We'll see how this works out. Okay, so she siphons from him, and she blah, blah, blah. Oh, because of her siphoning, she realizes, she goes, I must be the evil queen. And remember, she's still going back and forth on that too. So here's something random. Remember that spider? I put it up on the screen the last time. The Spider Orpian. So that spider/scorpion that she let live last a few chapters. Well, he's come back, and it's odd that Showalter put the scene into this particular part, because we don't know what the motive is of this Spider Orpian. But it plays a role. But then it's like, I'm hoping that more comes of it than just she needed someone. Okay, anyway, so what happens is the Spider Orpian comes back, and she's like, hey, you know, I let you live. Why are you? First of all, how do you recognize a Spider Orpian? Like, if you've never seen one before, you automatically know their distinctive features, and you can tell one from the other, because she clearly knows that it's the same one that she saw before. Plot hole, but okay. So anyway, so the Spider Orpian comes, and it bites her. And in doing so, she's able to communicate with it. So for a brief moment, Everly believes she's still siphoning from Hartley, but Hartley is like so far away that she doesn't, she's like, how am I, because she can hear the Spider Orpian's thoughts. And so the Spider Orpian is like, we're friends? Yes, we're friends. I kid you not, that's how it reads in the book. I'm like, oh my God. I don't even know what kind of accent to put with it, but it's like, yes, we're friends, yes. So everybody's like, no, why are we friends? Anyway, so evidently the spider orpion traded its stinger to be able to communicate specifically with Everly. You tell me why. I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, so Everly tells it that, she's not worthy of such a trade, go back and go get your stinger back. And he's like, no, essentially it tells her it wants to communicate, it wants to talk to her, and it wants to be friends. And then she sends it on its way. Like, there's nothing really to do with it. So it's just weird. It's just a weird thing that happens. I'm hoping, well, it does come back later, but I'm hoping that it's going to serve a bigger purpose later down the road. But anywho, so that happens. And then she siphons, as she siphons from Roth, she gets to open the mirror and see, she asks for Everly to show her essentially what's going on with, because remember the whole point of her wanting to get to the siphon is because she felt like the mirror was calling her. It said, look, see, look, like she was feeling it, like in her bones, she was feeling it. And so Everly shows her Nick and Ophelia arguing. Now remember, Ophelia is the witch that works with Noelle, that's kind of manipulating pieces. So Nick and Ophelia are arguing about Hartley. Ophelia wants to take Hartley, but Nick's like, no, I'm not. I've sworn to protect her. She's my stepdaughter, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't say he loves her, but I guess he does. It's for sure that he loved their mother. So I guess I don't know. Anyway, so they're arguing back and forth. She's like, no, she needs to stay here. So essentially what happens is Ophelia takes Hartley from Nick, and she is going to take Hartley and marry her off to the king of the trolls. Why? So of course Everly's hearing this and she's getting all raged up, like, I gotta save my sister, I gotta go protect my sister. And but as Nick and Ophelia are arguing, it comes about that there is a reason and a purpose for this, that Hartley plays a big part in commanding the trolls. So because she can talk to animals and creatures or so forth, she's going to play this big part with keeping the trolls out of Enchantia, or going to war with Enchantia or something, because evidently if the trolls start to war or whatever, they're going to end up disrupting the whole timeline of things, and it's going to be destructive for Enchantia. So the best thing is for Hartley to be with the trolls in a different dimension, because remember there's different dimensions. Within Enchantia, there's still different dimensions. And so Hartley is hearing this. Now, here's the thing. Ophelia does say that Hartley is going to be fine with the trolls. She's even going to thrive with the trolls. They're not going to hurt her because they have like a emeritus rule or something. So if it's someone that they respect and care about or so forth, they're not going to hurt them. So Hartley's not going to be in any danger being coupled up with the commander of the trolls. And she's actually going to even thrive. So what it sounds like Ophelia and Noelle are saying is that Hartley's going to be just fine. She needs to go. But Everly doesn't take it that way. So, and part of you're like, but you just heard. But she still doesn't take it that way. So Everly's getting wound up and she wants to go fight. Like, that's always her first thing. It didn't used to be, but now it seemingly is. That's her first inclination. I need to fight, except when it comes to killing a spider orpion. She don't want to kill it. But she's ready to kill everybody to save her sister cousin. Cousin sister? Is that too bad? So anyway, yeah. And so that's the other thing, is that they realize that Hartley is giving up a lot, because Hartley is, there's a moment where Hartley and Nick, Everly sees Hartley and Nick talking, and Nick is like, I don't understand why you're willing to protect, because Hartley's willing to go. She's like, I don't understand why you're willing to protect someone who killed your mother. And she's like, hold on, buddy. That wasn't her fault. Had you and mom told us about ourselves, and taught us how to use the magic and so forth, then that wouldn't have happened. So that's not on. So she's forgiven, and she doesn't blame Everly for it, which is good because Everly hears that, and so that's a burden off of her. Okay, but she also, Everly hears Hartley say that she's okay with this, but Hartley, she hears it, but she's not listening. Y'all know there's a difference between that, hearing something and listening. She's not listening. So then that takes us into chapter 22. So in chapter 22, Noelle tells Everly, so she comes back into Everly's mind, that it is absolutely necessary for Hartley to go. Like, you need to back off. You need to let that happen. Don't get on your little rampage and try to go find her. You need to let that be. And Noelle even tells her, is if you choose what you're thinking you're going to choose, you're not going to like the road ahead. So you need to, so Noelle is giving her warning after warning. And the thing about it is that it is frustrating why people are so vague. You know, like, just tell me in black and white, plain as day, if I do this, then this is going to happen. And I guess when you come with fate and oracles, you're like, maybe you can't really do that, because then by doing that, then you changed the fate. Like, I have a hard time with that, because she's purposely telling her, you're not gonna like it if you do this. But then everybody's like, well, just tell me what's going on. And she's like, I'm just telling you, you're not gonna like it. So then what does she do? She chooses to go after Hartley. So even after the warning, she chooses to go, and she siphons again from Roth to pick up his speed and so forth, and she takes off and she leaves the camp, and she runs into, come to find out, after she looked into the mirror again to see how far, because she's using the mirror to GPS. So y'all know she can use the mirror. Really, the mirror can show her anything. I don't know if it can show her the future though. It can show her what's happening in the past. It can show her what's happening current. And it can act as a GPS, because she asked it to show me where Hartley is, and come to find out she was 5 minutes walk, or a 5-minute run from her. Did it really say that though? Like, I don't know. Okay. So she runs into Nick, right? Like literally chest plant into Nick, face, chest, boom, and she gets knocked back. And she's like, Nick, and part of her, she's thrilled to see him, because on a couple of different levels, it's somebody she knows, it's someone that was connected to her mother, and he's also another sorcerer. So he's also another sorcerer. So there's all of these things, and then she still hates him because of the whole taking Hartley kind of thing. Like, he didn't tell her that she was there, that he was coming. And she's like, well, hold on. How did you get here? Ophelia wasn't going to bring you. How did you get here? He's like, boo, you never go anywhere without having a way back. That's old school knowledge for you. And it's almost like she wants to just punch him in his face. Like, if I was her, I would punch him in his face just for being snide. So anyway, the conversation with Nick goes is that he blames Hartley. He 100% blames Hartley for Audrey's death. And come to find out that Nick is, he is her stepdad uncle. He is her stepdad uncle. And but no one knows. Audrey found out like the night that Ophelia came. She found out then. But Nick was sent by King Stephen, because they're brothers. Nick was sent by King Stephen to go behead Everly. Yeah. However, King Stephen, he was upset because he couldn't kill all these apple babies. He didn't even want to kill his own kid, which oddly enough, he didn't want to kill Truly, but he did want to kill everybody else. Okay. And he sent Nick to behead her. But as Nick spent time there with Audrey and so forth, he fell in love with her, and he realized he couldn't do that. And so the king sent more and more people, and Nick just slew them all. He took care of it all, and no one was the wiser. So evidently when Audrey died, remember, Nick was gone for a while, and he was building in Antilium. his own Antlium in the mortal world because he was looking for information and so forth. So there are people, enchantians, that were coming to the mortal world for various reasons, and he would take them in, and they would agree to be a part of his Antlium if they fed him information. So that's what he was off doing when that whole siphoning and Audrey dying situation happened. So anywho, he's back. Guess who's back? Back again. And he's shady. He really is. So Shady is back, and he's an enchanter, and he is come to find out, he's the son of the Overlord. He is the son of the sorcerer and Overlord that took Roth's family and imprisoned them and made them part of an Antlium too. So anyway, he's the son. And so Roth in the boys, because Everly tells Nick what she knows, and Nick kind of tells her what he knows. And they say that they need to go find Hartley and do whatever it takes. And remember, before, Everly was kind of fearful of that whole building an Antlium, but now she's like, gung ho, let's do this so we can go get our sister, go get my sister cousin. I'm not gonna stop. Go get her sister cousin. And she's all for it, right? But then here comes, the boys are back in town. Roth, Saxon, and Vikander come swooping in. And Roth is, you're siphoning, you evil sorcerer, talking to Nick. And Nick is standing there like, boo, I'm not the one. I didn't do it. I didn't siphon from you. I promise you, because you would know if I did. And that leads it down to now Everly has to, because she was trying to let Nick take the fall, but it didn't work. And he said there's goodness in her. Anyway, but so she tells them, she goes, I'm a sorceress. I'm a liar. I definitely siphoned from you without your permission. I don't regret it. I apologize for not telling you sooner, but quite frankly, I'm not apologizing because of the fact that if I told you sooner, I wouldn't be living right now, because you specifically said how much you hate sorcerers and you would kill them on sight. And so there's this rage and so forth in them. And okay, so Roth decides that Everly needs to be taken back to camp, okay? And on the way back to camp, they talk about, the fact that, you stole power from me, and, I told you, like, he's essentially saying, I've told you the worst of my life and the thing that I'm most afraid of, and you did it anyway. And she's like, I regret not, telling you and so forth, but I don't regret siphoning from you because of the fact that she was trying to save her sister or her cousin sister. And in the whole process of all of this, if she had told him, she wouldn't have gotten to know truly the way she has. So she's like, sorry, not sorry. And then it goes into, they just talk about it, and Roth, he's like, you really are evil. And then you all of a sudden hear a ding in his head, and he goes, wait a minute. You're the evil queen in the whole prophecy. And she's like, oh, punch to the gut, She really does care about him. And again, she's got to figure out what she wants to do or not do or so forth. So anyway, Roth orders her to be bound and tied up. And remember, Roth has the power of compulsion. And so he compels her to not escape the camp, not to hurt anyone in the camp, not to siphon from Vikander or Saxon or Truly, and she won't be escaping and so forth. And that's where it ends. Everly's hurt that he's doing this and he's using his own power, but at the same time, you kind of did this to yourself, girl, right? So then we go into chapter 23. So in chapter 23, Everly walks back to camp, and she stumbles into camp, and she kind of runs, she does. She runs into Truly. She goes to Truly's tent, and she tells Truly the whole truth. And she tells Truly the truth. So she tells Truly the truth about who she is, and Truly recoils, and she's almost disgusted again with the whole fact that she lied. And she tries, and Everly tells her about their parents. She tells her about Nick. She tells her about the fact that even truly, yeah, you're part sorcerer, and even your power isn't as such as hers. She's still sorcerer by birth anyway, you know, mostly, or quarter sorcerer, how does that work? Quarter sorcerer. And truly is just, she's hurt by everything. She's disgusted by everything, but she doesn't want to see Everly dead either. So she kind of pleads with Vikander and Roth, you know, don't kill her, don't hurt her, but she doesn't want anything to do with her either. So Truly is just hurt left and right. You know, there's this hot guy she really, really likes, and he's not trying to have it, but he isn't. And Truly is not trying to hear it, you know, because again of the lying aspect. And then that's a big bombshell to drop in this, and in the world of Enchantia, sorcerers are really, really despised. So Roth gets back and he takes her back to the camp, back to his, not to camp, they're already in camp. He takes her back to his tent, and there things get a little heated as usual, but nothing really happens. And Truly ends up yeah, she does. She ends up siphoning from Roth again, because the Spider-Orpian, he comes by, pops out of the blue. He pops up and he ends up breaking her, or chewing through her bonds. And so she's able, because remember, sorcerers have to have their hands in order to wield their magic. Okay. It doesn't just like outwardly come. They have to have their hands. So she's bound in Roth's tent, and the Spider-Orpian comes and he breaks her free. And since she's free to move and do, she siphons from Roth, and she uses his compulsion against him. So she makes him sit on the floor and not speak or say anything. And then she uses her illusion magic that she got from Audrey. And remember, there's something I didn't tell y'all. Audrey, once a witch dies and she's siphoned from them, she keeps their power forever. Like everyone else, she has to siphon and use bits and pieces of it at a time. But if she siphons enough and she kills them, then she gets to keep their power forever. So her actual magic right now is illusion magic. So she's able to wield illusion magic, and she turns herself into Roth to try to escape the camp. So she goes into Everly's tent she goes into Truly's tent as Roth. And she's like, you know, hey, it's me. And you can't see me. She holds John Cena the whole thing. So anyway, she does the whole, you know, I'm me again. And Truly doesn't want to go with her. She's like, hey, I need to go save my sister cousin, your cousin, my sister cousin. Do you want to come with me? You know? And Truly's like, nah, I'm not going. Like you're wrong. You're very wrong. So she doesn't go. But then, so Truly decides to leave. But remember, this is where it gets weird. Roth compelled her not to run away, but she compelled Roth. So, but that compulsion never went away. So when she even siphoned from him, his original compulsion didn't go away. So as she tries to leave, she can't. And so Vikander, in the meantime, had gone into the tent, saw there was something wrong. And so she compelled Roth not to leave or not to get up and leave. So Vikander picked him up and carried him out the tent. And Saxon came and picked him up and flew him to Everly. And Everly's like, these loopholes. And I'm reading this and I'm like, what? So he comes back. Now, this is where it gets really hot and heavy, where I'd say it definitely took the PG level up to like 17. So they are not intimate, but pretty close. And so don't read this with your kids. But they essentially, they go back and forth about this whole situation of, you know, do we like each other? Do we not like each other? Are we good for each other? You know, Everly really puts it on. She knows that she wields power over him, the romantic inclination of power, so she wields it. And, you know, he tries to fight it. He can't fight it. And it's just blah, blah, blah. And they do end up kissing rather much. And so throughout the course of that, we come to find out and you probably guessed it already, Roth is very torn on the inside too, where one, he has this unnatural hunger for her, and or I guess very natural hunger for her, and she the same, but they're both trying to talk themselves out of it. Lo and behold, trolls show up, or not trolls, centaurs show up. So it breaks it up anyway. So centaurs show up to the camp, and Vikander and Truly find them two in the dirt. And Vikander tells him that they've taken Saxon because the centaurs had come to try to take Truly, but Saxon protected her Truly, and they took Saxon instead. And so Everly, for some reason or other, says, ooh, they're going to want to trade Saxon for Truly. Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Maybe they just want to eat him. You know, how do you come to that conclusion? But whatever. So all of that ended chapter 25. And essentially what ends up happening is they decide that Roth decides that he's going to go after Saxon. Him and Vikander are going after Saxon, and Truly and Everly are going to go back to the tower. And something that Roth does compel her again. And this is hard. Roth compels her. So Vikander puts the shackle things on her, the torque on her, because it keeps her from using her magic. So originally he compelled her to not siphon from anyone in Saxon, not to siphon, or Sevion, not to siphon from him, from Truly, from Vikander, from Saxon. He prevented her from siphoning from anyone from Sevion. And then he put the shackles on her. And then he even went as further as to compel her when he's going to take her he's going to have her taken to his castle and stay there. And she is supposed to help heal his father when she can. But she can't essentially siphon from anyone. So at least in Sevion, in his kingdom. So it's interesting because he doesn't want her harmed. He wants her fed. He wants her taken care of because I think he loves her. And he promises, because now she's all ticked off. She's like, you're doing this to me. We could have been good together and mighty together. You're choosing to do this to me. You're imprisoning me, and you're compelling me not to, essentially help herself. And on top of that, she can't help Hartley. And he goes, I will. I told you, I promised you I'd help Hartley, and I will. After he goes get Saxon, he'll go then and try to find Hartley. But she is to stay in the tower, or in his castle, as prisoner, a very cush prisoner, but prisoner nonetheless. Yeah, that's a lot. That was a lot, y'all. But that's it. Chapters 21 through 25 went boom, blew up. So now, given that that's probably the climax of our situation, I feel like this probably is. We're going to get more story and figure out how all this ends, as the time goes on. But there you go. Now, I will say this, that my family and I are going to Disney. Woo! Actually, we leave this weekend. So by the time you guys see this, I will already be down in Orlando. So for probably about 2 weeks after, I'm going to see if I can read, but I am not going to promise you that I'm going to read, film, and edit while I'm at Disney World. So you probably won't hear back from me for about 2 weeks, and we'll pick up from there. Okay? Well, thank you guys for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And as always, know that I'll be praying for you, and have a magically blessed day. Bye.